reason that I can do tonight is cause I know you won't fight. The only reason that the stresses can die is cause I thought that you would like it. I'm only gone for the sake of ourselves. Because I want you to like it. The only reason.
This is Jessica Javens Talk, a podcast that we talk about what you can do to transform your life inside out. And this is season one, so welcome. Today we have two wonderful guests that I'm so happy that they agreed to come in because they're amazing. And we're going to be talking about vision. So I would love to now introduce you all. Melinda and Eric, if you guys can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll start. Big brother goes first. So my name is Eric Misch, and my background is in sales and corporate sales and entrepreneurship. For the last 30 years, I've worked in different roles. My most recent venture brought me back to entrepreneurship about 13 years ago. And so basically what I work in is essentially a coaching role where I sponsor and support other entrepreneurs in building a leveraged residual income, which I'm really passionate about. So, something that I truly enjoy doing.
Amazing. Thank you, Eric.
And my name is Melinda Barcelona. I am a public school teacher, elementary, for the past 26 years. And I have recently embarked on my entrepreneurial journey in the network marketing space, helping mothers overcome depletion, feeling depleted, gaining a life full of vitality, and building the life of their dreams.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And the two of you are together today because I wanted to bring you both together because you do interact and do some business together, but you're both also brother and sister, right? And I
18
think
months
that's,
apart.
yeah, it's beautiful. They see brother and sister getting along that well like that in so many levels. That's beautiful. So let's jump right into this subject that we're so passionate about vision. So how do you guys, how would you describe what vision is?
Well, to me, vision means having a clear purpose. I see it as having your destination in mind before you actually reach it. And so I've vision has been a huge part of my journey. And even now, just always working on that vision, making it more defined and more clear, more articulated, and being able to share that with others, I think has been such a help for me and to help me stay on purpose and block out distractions. So,
Mm.
in a nutshell, that's what I would say it means to me.
At the age of distractions, right? We probably never had as many distractions as we do today. So that's wonderful. Melinda, what's your take?
So for me, having a clear vision is having a broad picture in mind of an not necessarily an end result, but a broad goal in mind, and then working backwards.
I love that. And you said it so in short, the sum, I love that way that you said that. So, how did you guys get to a point where you had that vision clear? Because a lot of people hear about vision and we know that's important, but it's kind of gray, I think, for a lot of people because, like we said, they have their lives to take care of, the distractions that come along, the unforeseen circumstances, and then that vision just gets washed out or just gets blurry. So let's talk about a little bit about the importance of having the clarity of it and how were you successful with having and maintaining a clear vision?
Yeah. So I would say for me, first off, I just want to make the point that while having a vision is important, the vision can oftentimes change, and that's because the horizon changes. So we look out and, we may see a picture in our mind of what we're trying to achieve, maybe our goals or our objectives. And those may change along the way, and that's okay. That's totally fine. We also have to be flexible when life throws curveballs at us. And so we have to be able to adjust. And so our vision itself may change. But what I found for me personally is having a clear vision of wherever I'm going next, and maybe even beyond that, has given me a real sense of direction. And what it's forced me to do is to be laser focused. And so when things pop up that are not aligned with the vision that I have, I'm able to much more quickly identify them and eliminate them from my vision so I stay focused. And I think in this age of distraction, it's become a real skill being able to stay focused on a specific goal or path and just stay on that path until you achieve it.
When you say, Eric, laser focus, right? How do you do that? Can you give me like an example of a typical day and how? Because a lot of people might be thinking like, how do you do that? Can you give me an example of maybe something in your routine or something that you do that helps you to have laser focus?
Yeah, well, I think broad perspective, as an entrepreneur, there's so many opportunities out there, and they're going to present themselves on a daily basis. I get presented with a lot of different opportunities, probably more so on a weekly basis, at least a handful, all of which may seem viable, and maybe some of them are, but they're just not aligned with my personal vision. So I have to say no. And that's a hard thing to do sometimes. It's hard to step back and say no to something, but I also appreciate that every time I say no to one thing, I'm actually saying yes to something else, and that's what I want to stay focused on. And again, not that can't change, but while I'm locked in on that particular uh goal, I want to stay focused on it. So yeah, it does mean sometimes turning down things that may seem lucrative, but are just not aligned.
That's great. I love that. Melinda, how about you? How do you, on a typical day, maintain your focus and the clarity of your vision?
For one thing, I write things down. So I live by to-do lists,
Uh huh.
and that helps me stay focused. Post-it notes, like at my desk, I have post-it notes everywhere. But just piggybacking a little bit on what Eric said, being aligned. For me, it's you have to know. I personally, and this is something that I've really developed in the last few years because in education, going through the whole public education system and then into college, this is not something that was necessarily taught
Mm.
to people. At least I never experienced this. But knowing really well your core values, that helps me know when I need to say yes or no to certain things and when things don't align. So for me, having a very clear understanding first of my core values, what is important to me, helps me stay on that track.
I also wanted to add to
Mhm.
that as well is I find for me keeping my core circle or sphere of influence small is really helpful because I think while things can be a distraction, people can also be a distraction or at least a
Mm.
source of
Good point.
distraction. And so, working with other people that are highly focused, that I see them, they're able to achieve that clear vision. That helps me a lot stay focused. So, I would also say, saying no to opportunities sometimes means saying no to people that I know if I bring them into that close circle, they're going to derail me from what
Mm.
I'm trying to achieve. So
Mm.
I try to keep a very tight, close circle of people that will help me stay focused.
That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely are influenced as humans by our surroundings. So definitely the people play a huge part in how we allow. And there was another person who said the other day that we're living at the time of connection now. It's almost like the new currency. So we know the importance of it. We know it needs to be done, but at the same time, there's just so many kinds out there. So you have to be know your values, like Melinda said, and you need to know exactly what you want because very easily you go into a path that is not part of your vision at all. And talking about that, have you guys been in a situation where your vision became cloudy because of an obstacle? And tell me how you overcame that.
Yeah.
I'm
You
thinking.
you want
I'm
me to go
thinking.
first?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, in the course of building any business, there are certainly challenges that arise. And I'm a firm believer if you haven't met with challenges yet as an entrepreneur, you either just started or you're not trying hard enough. Because if you're really putting forth that effort, you're going to meet obstacles and
Yep.
they're going to come in your path. And whether that's could be a conflict within your organization, it's conflict with other business partners, it's um, you know maybe something that's going to disrupt the unity and harmony of your team and business. Those to me are it's static, it's outside noise. Those are things that are going to weaken any organization. It can happen at all levels. It can happen at the very top level of the organization. It can happen at the bottom or in between. But uh, yeah, that's been something that has potentially threatened my clarity to the goals that I have, the vision that I have for my business, and I've had to bring stability and clarity to tough situations at times. It's happened several times, and just hold the line, hold the rope, and not let go. And instead of taking a an emotional approach to it,
Mm.
step back and take more of a logical approach and realize the bigger picture at hand and move beyond that. But potentially, they could have derailed me at least 10, maybe 12 times in the course of the current business that I'm building. So those are things that could, plague any business, though.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that that's very important to bring here to the table. It's very easy for us to fall into the dream that we want and just imagine that perfect scenario, and thinking that maybe it should be something that should be quick, or maybe we see somebody successful at that already and we think that, hey, they are doing it, why is it not happening to me? But we don't know all the story behind of what they had to overcome. So typically, if you're going to talk about people of great success that are famous, maybe for the audience here, big people like Walt Disney, Oprah Winfrey, so many more that went through so much to get to where they are today. And the number of obstacles was large, and that's okay. That is okay. And I like the fact that there's also a huge learning opportunity in those moments and a self-development opportunity. And this is about entrepreneurship that I love, and that you guys, I think, have the same feeling, is that the opportunity for growth here is gigantic because it's not just serving somebody else's dream anymore. You're actually having to take full charge of that. So you're putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation, and that just starts bringing so much opportunity for self growth. So I love that. I would love to hear your thoughts, Melinda. How did you overcome?
So I have learned just in the last few years, while I've been on this entrepreneur journey, that to embrace obstacles. So, sometimes like we're taught from a young age, like don't make mistakes. And these things stay with people into adulthood. And what I've learned is to embrace obstacles. I don't like to spend a lot of time dwelling in problems. So, when I'm faced with an obstacle, I immediately like I look at it, and I don't like to sit with it too long. I like to get into the problem solving mode. So for me, it's like, okay, what do I need to do to overcome this? And just taking small steps. It doesn't have to like it's not necessarily problems that when because we are faced with problems in our journey of being an entrepreneur. So it's not just having to overcome those problems quickly. Sometimes it can just be, what small steps can I put in place consistently to make progress and get past that. And the beautiful thing about that is it is a major boost of serotonin and personal development and self-esteem when you can get past on the other side of
Yeah.
obstacles and say, I got it. I got through it. I did it, you know? So it just makes us that much more resilient to future problems
Yeah.
because that's part of life.
And sometimes the obstacle is us. We're
Yeah,
the obstacle, right?
absolutely.
So that's where the personal development aspect comes into play, and where, we need to sometimes, as Zig Ziglar said, you work harder on yourself than you do your business. And so overcoming that. But the other thing that I was thinking of, a threat to our vision, is sometimes when our vision is maybe too clear or too big for others, it can cause a disruption in their paradigm. And sometimes, if you look at entrepreneurs that have like the Walt Disneys and the Elon Musks and
Yeah.
the ones that have a really like massive, big thinking, clear thinking, um, they ruffle a lot of feathers out there because people are like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You want to revolutionize the car industry and turn it from 100% gas powered to 80% electric, or you want to go to Mars?
Yeah.
Like, and so there's going to be a lot of naysayers. There's going to be people that say that you're crazy. And that's actually a sign that we're probably on the right track.
I love
Actually,
that.
I've come to realize. But it's not all smooth sailing, and there's a fair amount of resistance and rejection along the way until others start buying into the vision. So I would say that could be one obstacle. I know I've faced that in the past as well. Just people thinking that, I'm crazy, it can't be done. Uh, and so, if we pay attention to that noise, if we don't block it out and we start giving it attention and giving it an ear, then absolutely our vision will go from clear to blurry very quickly.
And it might even, maybe some people even give up at this point, they just have, this is not
Absolutely.
for me. And it's interesting because what Melinda said, the rewards that you get if you do overcome those obstacles, it's amazing. You grow so much in the process, and you get the serotonin, like you become a happier person, a more content, a fulfilled person. It is an amazing thing. And this is good for the people who are listening here who are self-employed or are entrepreneurs, and the people who are working in corporate but would love to do something that they would love to fulfill what their dream is, instead of working for somebody else's dream. And what you said, Eric, about the obstacles, it made me think that sometimes some of them, they come together. You don't get only one obstacle at a time. Sometimes it's multiple. You know what I'm saying? So if you understand that concept, but you are focused on where you want to get, you're not going to let any of that stop you from getting it. And what's more interesting is that some of the people that criticize, they might be the people who were not successful at that, or people who haven't tried that. So if you think about that, maybe if somebody who was successful, who's doing exactly what you did, and they already achieved full success, and they're saying you're not going to make it, they're probably never going to say that. They're just going to help you and tell you the tips that you need to make it even better. So there's a huge difference there of where the person is coming and why they're coming. It's just sometimes because they don't know, and it's foreign for them, and people are scared of something new. They hesitate. They don't know what it looks like. They're scared of taking that first step because they don't know what's going to come right next. What do you guys think about that?
I think those are great points. And I think the reason it's so important to be crystal clear on our vision, I mean, to the point where we have all of the details already laid out. Like we have to paint a picture. I like to think of it as I'm painting a picture, like almost like there's a movie going on in my mind, and I'm
Yes.
watching the movie. I'm definitely a I guess it would be a right-brained, more on the creative side. So I'm left-handed, and so I'm very visual, very visual. So I'm always like visualizing a picture of something, of what I want my ideal state to look like in my mind, or I'm playing it out. And athletes use this commonly
Mm.
to hit the perfect shot, or shoot the ball in the perfect way, or kick the ball right through the net. They're visualizing it. No athlete goes into a shot thinking that they're going to miss if they're any good. If
Right.
they're certainly at the pro level, they always think it's going in, it's going in. Even
Yeah.
if it does, it's going in. They see it going in. And so, and there's even one famous basketball player, who he's the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry. And he's famous for shooting the ball and just turning around and walking the other way before the ball
Oh
goes in the
my
hoop.
goodness.
Okay, he shoots from half court sometimes, and he just turns around and walks away. And there's videos on YouTube of him doing it, like in games, and because he's so sure, he's seen that shot go through the hoop tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of times. And so it's so real to him. It's that as it leaves his hands, it's done, and you
Yeah.
can see confidence. And that's the kind of vision that entrepreneurs need, because there will be derailments, and we have to almost anticipate them. But when they come, we have to know how to overcome them, what to do when that happens.
This example about shooting the ball, Eric, it's incredible because that shows exactly the power of vision. When you have a vision, the ability that you have, and what the transformation that you go, and it's funny because I've tested that myself. Like it could be playing ball or anything. The difference of when I'm saying, oh, these players are better than me. I can't do this. I literally can't. And if I shift that and I say, no, I'm going to do it this time, and I really focus on that, and I put that to the test, I was actually able to play much better, and I was able to do, some scores. It's absolutely amazing. So if the person is not aware of what they're thinking about, they have power there that they're misusing, and it's crazy if you think about it, because whatever you focus on is going to become, in your results. That's actually a little scary too. So people need to be aware of that power that they have in their hands.
Would you say, Jessica, that as humans, we're more effective when we're confident about whatever we're doing? Or or would you say we're more or we're less effective when we're less confident? Which one do you think?
I think that we need to be confident. However, we
Right.
need to be open to learning. Because if a
Okay.
person is confident to a point where they think that they know everything and they don't need input and feedback, and I'm not talking about the negative feedback that we just talked a little while ago, I'm talking about the ones that are going to serve us and serve our vision. You can't close that. And that's where the connections and the learning has to be continual. It doesn't stop.
Right. Okay. So confidence, not overconfidence. But if we're not confident, we're gonna fail. That's why every like they've interviewed like the top tennis players, the Rafa Nadal's, the you
Uh-huh.
know the the best of the best, right? The Djokovic. And do you feel confident going into this match? They ask this question oftentimes, reporters. You feel confident going in, like you feel confident you're going to win, or you feel like you lack confidence? And every single time, interestingly,
Mm.
when they feel confident, their correlation to winning is exponentially higher. When they lose confidence in themselves,
Mhm.
they start getting into their own heads, they start doubting themselves,
Yes.
and they end up losing. They end up
Yes.
losing. So here's where the connection comes between vision and confidence. Vision builds belief. Belief builds confidence, and confidence leads to winning. And that's why having a strong vision is so important.
That's beautiful.
all while maintaining humility.
Yes.
I think when we remain humble, that's when the steps that Eric just outlined, but we still remain humble, because you can be confident and humble. So when you have that path that Eric described with humility, then that is when you can align yourself with people who have already done it, and even look to what they're doing, and take their advice when you know it's coming from a good place.
And I would also say going a little deeper into that, taking it a step. And we're going a little deeper into the psychology right now. But oftentimes, overconfidence is actually a lack of belief in oneself. And what people tend to do is overcompensate. They over rotate, um, and so it comes out in that way. And it's really what it's doing is trying to mask over a lack of confidence. So true inner deep confidence is not something that has to come off as being arrogant.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
There's not like,
That is
well,
true.
either you're confident or you're not humble.
Right, right. I love that.
No, you can be confident and humble at
Yes.
the same time.
Yes.
And actually, when you're that way, the confidence comes from within. It's not something that has to be out there in everyone's face.
Yeah.
It comes from within. And so and that grounds us.
Mm-hmm.
That makes us feel more secure,
Mm-hmm.
and safer and less defensive. And we tend to respond to others in situations in a more positive way because we're not coming from a lack of confidence and a defensive posture at that point. So, and again, having that clear vision, there's a connection between the two, just to tie it together.
Yes, I love that you put those things together because that's how it should be. And then if you're not building up a wall or a defense, you're having more of an open mind. That's when you're able to see opportunity, able to be more creative. You're able to be grateful, and you see past maybe the noise, and you see what you can take from that, and
Yeah.
that's power and freedom. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Now we talked about a couple of things that people can actually do. So the ones that are not in depth into their vision and their vision is super clear, we talked about a few things that they could do. Melinda said writing it down, and I believe that completely because you're putting it out of your mind, you're putting it in writing, it becomes more concrete in a way. You're like stepping it a step further, and you can read that and in a daily basis connect with that. Um, Eric said about the eliminating distractions and saying no to things or asking that question, is this serving my vision? Tell me two or three other things that can be easy for people to start doing right now so they can have a clear vision.
I would say breaking things into smaller pieces, because when something is so big, it can actually create some confusion. So what are the little steps that we have to take to get to that bigger overarching goal? So that's when I like working backwards. Okay, so now what do I need to do in the next day? What do I need to do in the next week, in the next month? And that also builds the consistency piece too.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking is prioritizing consistency over perfection. Oftentimes we get in our own
Mm,
way or we delay taking action and
mm-hmm.
being consistent
Procrastination.
because yeah, procrastination because we think we have to be perfect at it
Yeah, no, we
before
don't.
we start, before we even have practiced it, before we've mastered it. We need to start off perfect. So we can't, I think Melinda said it earlier, is, being afraid to make a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we delay in doing it. And so just prioritizing progress over perfection and focusing on consistency will help us get closer to our goal and closer to our vision over the course of time.
That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Now, a lot of our listeners here would love to be able to connect with you all. You guys have a beautiful production and everything that you do with the products and the services and everything that you provide and the coaching and so forth. So I would love them to be able to contact you. How can they come to you, reach you, and follow you?
Well, you can go to my website, ericmisch.com. So ERICMISCH.com. And for those individuals that are interested in some next level coaching, some mentorship, you can go on there. You can schedule a discovery call with me. You can also find me on Facebook under my name, Eric Misch, and on Instagram as _commissioner. So there's a variety of different ways that you can connect with me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn as well under Eric Misch, my name, and on YouTube under Eric Misch.
Perfect. Melinda?
And I am going to keep it very simple. You can contact me at my Instagram handle is Early Years by Design.
Love it. Thank you guys so much for coming today. It was such a pleasure to have you, to get to know you guys, for the audience to get to know you. I can't wait to see you guys again. You guys are awesome. Keep shining. So thank you so much. This show is coming from Forever Living, which is the best aloe vera juice in the world that helped transform my wellness. And it's also produced by the I Am Beast Network. I am Jessica Javens, and this is the Jessica Javens Talk.